So, are you using the short side of the arena?
Yeah, well, you're just waiting for the short side to go by so that you can do the fun stuff on the next long side or on the diagonal. I think traditionally a lot of riders get so preoccupied with movements that happen on the long side or on the diagonal that they sort of forget the short side, because very little happens, right? Like if you think of competition tests, occasionally you stop on the short side or you have to rein back on the short side, but there's not a whole lot else that happens, right, on the short side. All the movements are on the long side, the diagonal. And
At least in a dressage test.
Dressage test, exactly.
Doesn't mean that you can't put stuff on the short side.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you're missing out if you just cruise past the short side and waiting for it to be behind you. You're missing a lot of the gymnastic benefits that are in there. And when I talk about the short side, I always mean the short side with the two corners, right?
Short side of the arena,
the
dressage
exactly,
arena that's 20 by 40 or 20 by 60.
Yeah.
We're talking about the 20 meter short side instead of the 40 or 60 meter long side.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and you can use your short side and these two corners to prepare whatever you're going to ride afterwards, right? Whether it's a half pass or a medium trot, or even I don't know, could be an up transition, it could be flying changes, it could be all kinds of stuff, right? But the better you prepare the movement, the better the execution will be, right? And you can prepare the next movement already in the corners and on the short side, right? And if you think of a couple of examples, like if you want to do a medium or extended trot or canter, the lengthening, the quality of the lengthening of the stride depends on how much the hind legs are engaged and how much they're flexed under the body, because otherwise the horse will just push himself onto the forehand and run and get quicker, right? So if that's the case, that the quality of your lengthening depends on the engagement and flexion of the hind legs, then it would be only logical to do something to engage and flex the hind legs before you lengthen the stride, right? Rather than just kick and go, which you see a lot of people do. They come around the corner, they kick, and then
they honestly
don't know. Yeah, nobody has educated them about that. But so you could use your short side and the corners to engage the hind leg, to flex the hind legs, and if you're in a competition, then of course you can't embellish the short side, you just have the straight line and you have the two corners, but you can enlarge into the corner.
And you can make really impeccable use of that space at the corner to really prepare your horse.
Exactly, or you could ride a shoulder 4 through the corner. Apparently Reining Klimke used to ride every corner as a bit of a shoulder in. And then you can half halt afterwards. Like if you want to lengthen, you could pretend you want to do a down transition from trot to halt or whatever. And just as you feel the horse sitting behind and getting ready for the transition, you can say, never mind, let's go forward from here, and then you get a much better lengthening without the horse getting faster.
It's like, as you always like to put it, Thomas, it's like putting money in the bank. It's like you're accruing some money in the bank through really good use of your corner and your short side that you can then use however you want to on your long side as an extension, or you're going to talk about this, I know, a half pass or shoulder in, any number of things that you can do to make use of this energy that you have saved up. Energy or money, or however you want to look at it. You save up some energy that you can then bring out and use.
Exactly, and like in the half pass, also the quality of the half pass depends very much on how well the inside hind leg steps under the body, how well it bends.
It makes or breaks a good half pass.
So you want to use the short side and the corners to create the conditions.
You can use the corner. It would be silly not to, right? Right? It's a waste of an opportunity to not make use of that corner as preparation for your half pass, especially if you're riding a half pass from the long side, from the beginning of the long side. You're starting your half pass at H, let's say, and going across the arena. You would want to, if you were riding intelligently, hopefully you are, you would want to make use of the corner, but in order to make good use of the corner, you want to make good use of the whole short side.
Right. Yeah. So, and if you stick with that example of the half pass, or it could be shoulder in on the long side, anything, the horse needs to have a certain bend, right, in order to produce a correct lateral movement. And you can use the corner to create that bend and the engagement of the inside hind leg that you need. Now, it could be that you feel like the corner with its 3 strides of the inside hind leg is not enough time. I can't create the bend that I need for my half pass within 3 strides.
Right.
Happens, right? If the horse is not perfect yet, you know, and not that advanced yet, you know, maybe he's still new at half passes, so then maybe it takes you a little longer to create a good bend. But then you could continue on that line of the corner. You know, corner was always referred to as a quarter of a volte, right? So 4 consecutive corners would form a volte. So basically you ride a volte in the corner. And that used to be standard practice at the Spanish riding school in Vienna, that before every shoulder in or haunches in or half pass, they would ride a volte in the second corner of the short side, create the bend that you need for your lateral movement, and then begin the lateral movement out of the volte, keeping the bend, and then off you go, right? So they would, for example, also start the half pass from the point on the long side where the volte touches the long side. So it's not necessarily MH or F or K, exactly, it would be before the letter a little bit, because it's 6 meters from the corner to the ladder, and that means you would have to ride a 12-meter volte in order to touch the long side there. So if you ride a 10-meter or 8-meter or 6-meter volte, then your half pass would have to start, you know, 4 or 5 meters after the corner, so it's before the actual ladder, right? And that makes sense from a gymnastic point of view.
Right. Talk about making really good use of your space, right?
Exactly. So riding voltes in the corners is a great way to prepare the horse for whatever comes next. You could do more, right? You could do figure 8s on the short side, where you ride a volte in the first corner, and then, you know, when you hit the center line the second time, ride a volte in the other direction into the second corner. And you could stay on that figure 8 a couple of times. It's a great way to supple and straighten and balance the horse. And then out of that figure 8, you could ride a half pass from the center line to the long side, for example. Yeah, that would be, you know, if you start with the first corner of the first corner of the short side, then yeah, you can only ride from the center line to the long side, right? Otherwise, if you want to do a half pass from the long side, then you'd have to ride the volte in the second corner, the volte on that rein that you're on. So, and then you'll notice that you have to plan sometimes. Do I need my volte in this direction in the first corner or in the second corner? Right? So sometimes you have to move them around a little bit. So it's little strategic considerations. Another thing that works really well is to ride a little rectangle that consists of the short side, 10 meters of the long side, so from the corner to the circle point, and then you turn 90 degrees parallel to the short side, ride straight to the opposite circle point, and then you have a 10 by 20 meter rectangle, you know, along the short side. It's a brilliant exercise. You can ride this, for example, in a shoulder in, or you could alternate between shoulder in and haunches in, especially on the long sides of that little rectangle. And then when you feel like, now my horse is really compact and balanced and round and through, you could ride a half pass, you could ride a medium trot or extended trot, or, you know, if you do it in the canter, you could do a medium or extended canter, you could do flank changes, canter half passes, and so on. So that's a great way to prepare the horse for a movement that follows, especially, you know, once your horse is already at a slightly more advanced stage in training.
And even if your horse isn't, you can ride homeopathic doses of these movements. So even if your horse is not that advanced, you can ride a hint of shoulder in. So it's not even a shoulder in, not even a shoulder 4, really. It's a hint of it. So you're already, it's just one tiny micro bit beyond single track. So it's not all or nothing, right? It's not like, oh, my horse can't do shoulder in, my horse can't do haunches in, so we just go straight. My horse can barely turn, maybe. You know, do what you can do and you break it down so that you just make micro doses of it, make a micro dose of a shoulder in. So it's a hint of shoulder in, hint of shoulder forward, you know, hint of haunches in perhaps. So it's not all the way. You don't have to go all the way.
It's enough sometimes to move the croup like a hoof breadth to the inside, or move the shoulder a hoof breadth to the inside. So it's less than shoulder 4 or less than haunches 4, if there's such a thing, right? It's just
it's a hint of it.
I always talk about homeopathic doses, right, or micro doses, like Shana says. It's, you know, it's like you feel the spirit of the movement, but somebody who watches you doesn't necessarily see that you're riding shoulder in, but the horse gives you that feel, and sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes just that feel in your body. It doesn't have to be the shoulder in you ride in a competition for a judge. It's just you want a certain gymnastic effect, and you can already get that with a very, very shallow angle oftentimes, right? Has a nice balancing or suppling or straightening effect. So those would be great little tools to enhance the short side, and to maximize the short side. So you spend a little time essentially in that area of the short side and the 2 corners.
And so you can repeat the short side multiple times, because you're immediately 10 meters into the long side, you're turning left and going, or right, whichever direction, coming across, and then you have the short side again. So you can repeat the short side multiple times.
Yeah, and then when you have a good feeling, the horse is balanced and supple and through and uphill and all these good things, good self-carriage, then you could go straight down the long side or the diagonal and ride whatever movement you were preparing for, right? And then riding that movement then becomes a test of how well you've prepared your horse, right? So it's not so much a matter of like practicing the movement, right, by riding it over and over. It's more like preparing it thoughtfully and then riding it to check whether your preparation was good enough and long enough, you know. And if the movement doesn't turn out very well, then maybe it wasn't the right kind of preparation, or maybe you didn't do the preparation very well, or maybe the horse needed a little bit more preparation. Maybe you didn't stick with the preparation long enough.
Even when it doesn't go well, you have the opportunity to learn, though. Even when it's like, oh, you know, I thought I was preparing well, but that didn't work. That's a learning opportunity. It's great information. If you can reframe every mistake and every bad thing that happens, or unfortunate thing, or an imperfect scenario, into a learning opportunity, you get so much more out of every moment in your ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Making use of your short side and your corner and your mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's the basic idea here. Use the short side, use the corners. In the Spanish riding school, they used to say, if you can ride good corners, you can ride anything. If you can't ride good corners, then you can't really ride much else either, at least not a good quality. So using the short side and the corners is also about improving the corners, so that the horse really goes through the corner in good balance, good bend, 3 strides of the inside hind leg, so he comes out of the corner almost in better balance than he entered the corner. And so if you can achieve that, you'll be unstoppable. You'll just keep getting better and better. The horse will keep getting better and better. With every well-executed corner, the horse will be a little bit better, more uphill, better balanced, straighter, a little bit more supple. And so the corners are your friend. They help you produce better movements. And if you compete, your competition scores will go up as you improve your corners, and the horse's performance will improve. So,
but the training will overall improve by better use of your corners and your short side.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, if you like this video, please do us a favor and hit like. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to our channel and turn notifications on so that you get alerted whenever we release a new video. Otherwise, you won't know. You might come across it in your news feed, you might not. And let us know in the comments, how did you like the video? Do you have any questions? Does this help? Do you find this helpful? Go ride this and tell us how it goes. We'd love to hear. And let us know what other videos you would like us to do. What questions do you have? What do you need help with? We're here to help. So see you in the next video.